Hello and welcome back. It's your boy Reed from Studio Rockpile. Holy shit, it's been a whole ass week. We had a scare on one of my work sites. As somebody who is 8, 9 days ago maybe exposed to COVID, I'm feeling pretty okay. My nasal passages are clear, no sore throat, I ain't coughing or wheezing. So, find out when I get my test results back. That was fun. Oh my god. Like, I'd had rapid tests for the past several months. It's not really that much of a big deal. But, today was the big boy test, and, holy shit, if they didn't, like, dip that entire goddamn swab in isopropyl alcohol or something. Ow. Wasn't too bad, though. Kid fucking two stalls over was screaming, I'll tell you what. But yeah, so continuing, different model this time, still not feeling painting elves. We're going to be instead painting a old-timey Wolfguard Terminator my friend also lent me. And the reference image is actually a more modern version of it that I painted myself and is sitting on my shelf. Turn off autofocus. It's an old pewter boy. I've missed a couple spots, but I'm gonna seal it for him afterwards, so it's not really that much of a big deal. Oh man, the entire radiator grills. Really? Really? So, for those of you who don't know about Warhammer but are aware of Space Marines, the Terminator armor is very heavy. Like, we're talking completely immune to conventional small arms fire. Like, you need big boy RPGs to scratch this. You could sit there with a minigun, full metal jacket, firing at this shit all day. Like you be firing fucking armor, like you'd be firing 50 cals at this boy all day and nothing. You'd scratch the paint. They're kind of nuts. And as you may have seen on the leg, I was testing out how some of my Space Wolf colors are holding up years later. And as it turns out, some of them dried out a little bit. So, we're going to be dealing with that. Yeah, we're going to use my old brush for just the base coating, and then, depending on how late this goes, I might try out some newer brushes. But yeah, so my workplace is shut down this week. So, I don't know, I'm probably going to stream again tomorrow. Would have streamed earlier today, but despite being in quarantine, I had to talk to a bunch of contractors for my mom. She wants the fence around the side of the house redone. Cause it's like a 25-year-old chain link. No, 30-year-old chain link probably now. So, getting that out of the way for her. She doesn't like talking to contractors. She feels like they're gonna rip her off. But yes, because I don't have my base colors, we gotta make do. Normally, I'd go over this with a base coat called the Fang, which I still have here, but it's all dried out to shit. Where'd you go? Fuck. Yep, okay, yep. I'll get that later. Yeah, the Fang is a sort of blue-gray. And mine is horrible and grody. And we gotta get it up to Fenrisian gray, which is a nice light blue. Yeah, come here. Okay, those are back up. How the fuck did I buy you? Damn, I have brushes coming out the ass here. I just found a brush I didn't know that I bought. Okay, well, shit. I'm gonna try you out. I bought a couple brushes. They're not like the Cadillac of brushes. I wouldn't say that, but like they're nice brushes. So, kinda excited to use them a little bit. Still haven't looked into the music situation. I've been signing papers for since the last time I streamed because they're finally getting around to getting the last bit of my paperwork done for apprenticeship stuff. Oh, that's nice. So yeah, I'm mixing it like 10-to-1 black and Fenrisian gray, just to give me a nice transition color, which we've talked about before. And you really see it with the Fenris gray. You can see I put 2 coats of that on, thin, and it's still splotchy as fuck. And I was just sort of testing that out. Because this is a base coat, it doesn't have to be a thick layer, it just has to be enough to help your upper layer. You can leave it darker in the recesses if you want. Buddy that loaned me this model, actually, he also plays Space Wolves, and he did the older Heresy colors. All you gotta know is the Heresy era is a time period in 40k that set up for it takes place about 10,000 years earlier. And several of the legions, Space Marines, had different colors back then. Space Wolves used to be a storm gray. And later became a sort of ice blue. Or like more of a light blue gray. Sky gray? Yeah, maybe sky gray. You can call it that. Space Wolves are a bunch of space Vikings from the planet Fenris. I borrowed the Space Wolves omnibus from them, and I've been reading that recently. And it's funny as hell. The people of Fenris are still basically, still living in the Dark Ages. First to an actual Space Wolf's gun is magic, and he's like, well, no, it's not magic. It's just, it seems like magic to you, but it's not magic. It is good, it's funny. Space Wolves were the Emperor's executioners. They're a very finicky, hotly, you either love them or you hate them type of chapter. In terms of the fan base and the lore. A lot of people don't much care for them, and recently they have had a good bit of shitty writing and stupid fucking naming conventions. Stop putting wolf on everything. No, they don't even call themselves the Space Wolves. They call themselves the Folk of Fenris. Or the Rout. For those unaware, a rout is it's a combat term for when there is nothing left of the enemy. A routing action is to clear the battlefield of an enemy force. And that's what the Space Wolves were. When they're unleashed, it's the enemy needs to die. We don't care how. Kill them. And it's not like the crazed berserker charges that people are thinking of and normally assert tribute to Vikings. As many people don't know this, but the Vikings did have a keen grasp of tactics. Okay? A bunch of them encircled and were laying siege to a French church. And the monk who was actually recording the entire thing and taking note of what was going on described their approach to the church to shelter themselves from their weapons was the equivalent of a Roman shield formation. Same way that centurions used to make a shield wall, protect themselves from incoming projectiles. And likewise, the Space Wolves don't just throw themselves at problems, they're very careful about it. They fight hard and they seem like savages to people, but nowhere near as stupid as everybody thinks. On the tabletop, they play like an interesting army, and I think I've mentioned this before. They're a mostly shooty army that happens to be able to do close combat reasonably well without having the drawback everybody else has of actually having to get into close combat. You let the enemy come to you. Or if you brought bigger guns, you force them to come to you. You can push in advance if you need to, or you can just sit there and don't want to say outgun the enemy, but you can go toe to toe pretty easy. You can. We got a lot of cheap heavy weapons that we get to take. And of course, we get all the fun units for slaying monsters and characters. My old favorite unit that they removed from the game back in 8th edition was the Lone Wolf. All their chapters run on tactical squads. The Space Wolves had the pack. You'd bring in about 40, 50 aspirants at once, maybe 15 you'd actually pass and get through. And then you'd put them together in a single pack. And over time, the numbers would whittle down until maybe there was one left, assuming they didn't get completely wiped. And that one would then take a bunch of oaths of vengeance and slaying and what have you, and resolve to see the rest of his old packmates in the afterlife with crazy fucking stories to tell them. And so it was a Lone Wolf on the tabletop was a non-scoring kamikaze unit. Basically means you load that boy up with big weapons and some heavy armor, and you throw it at the enemy, and they have a hell of a time trying to kill it. And if they do kill it, they don't get any points for it. In fact, conversely, you lose points if it's still on the table. Yeah, a lot of fun. You could really get in and just personalize each model. Give them names and stories. Elaborate on why they had the weapons that they did if you're into that. Actually, one model I have, I don't know how many times I've rebuilt and repainted him. I always give him something new after every battle if he does something cool. It's always him that does stuff. He's just a regular rank and file dude, and he just happened to be with the way the dice worked out. He's always fucking murking dudes. Fucking blew up a tank right as it was about to run him over. So I gave him my name, I gave him new weapons, and I gave him some more little things to hang on his armor. Maybe I'll show him later. Shit, maybe I'll do a repainting stream. And I'll redo all of his bits again. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream as such. Yeah, well, my internet's been shit for the last day, so not really my problem. This is Little Red Mark here. Is there a way to, like, I don't know. It's still looking okay-ish on my end. I don't know, I don't like a lot of Space Marine chapters. They're kind of boring. And a lot of them are samey, but I don't know. The Space Wolves are just so fucking radically different from everything else in the way that they act and they're structured. The White Scars, I guess, are similar, and the Black Templars, but it's like modern Space Marines. It's, oh no, you can only have 1,000 dudes in a chapter because Space Julius Caesar said so in his Magic Space book. Which, ironically enough, he told his chapter not to follow to the letter, because when he made the codex, he immediately illustrated this point to them by fucking beating them with it. There's an entire short story about it. Okay, that's about. That's a couple little crevices I still need to get into. The old Space Wolves, this Terminator compared to the newer ones isn't that heavily ornamented, so it shouldn't take too long total. If you look at the one I've got there as my reference image, it's dude's got some stuff hanging off of him. And then this one's like got the same little crux on the knee, almost the same necklace, but then he's just got a little wolf tail hanging from his belt, and even his assault cannon is nowhere near as impressive. But also, it was this is from like the 90s, and he's got a power fist instead of a sword. Power fists are one of my favorite weapons. They're up there with thunder hammers. Dude, is it still fucking stuttering? Fuck, is it stuttering? A such stable experience buffering. Like, I don't know what more you want from me here. Like, I'm not downloading anything. I haven't changed any setting. Dude, is it not even getting an audio? Oh, okay, we're just like, we are minutes behind on this. Holy shit. Alright, well, that's the way she goes. That's the way she's going tonight, I suppose. Yeah, well, what can you do? My internet's been kinda terrible for the last several days. I have no idea why. I don't even like there's fucking more traffic in my house than usual. It's even uploading anything. It's way too wet. Still way too wet. It's fine. Trying to avoid getting any bubbles on it. Because if your paint's really wet, when it gets into the creases, it can bubble sometimes and it'll ruin the finish. It'll leave you these horrible little textured surfaces. It's been a while since I painted with Phenician Gray paint too as well, and I remember it being a particularly watery bastard. Man, I wish there was a good game where you got to play as Terminators. Like, Space Hulk Deathwing was almost good. And that'd be. I'm actually thinking of doing like minimalist reviews. Just like one sentence, get to the meat and potatoes of what I think of the game. And my best summary of Space Hulk Deathwing is, well, it's almost good. Like, it's close. I've actually been playing Control recently, and yeah, it's alright. Will be my minimalist review of that. It's okay. It's above average. It's good production quality, but it's nothing new. Ever played a game with superpowers and collectible documents? Yep. This is what that is. That's what it feels like. I don't know. I think I kind of spoiled myself for video games. It's because most of the big, interesting stuff nowadays that everybody gets hyped for is just rehashes of games that already came out in the mid thousands. Yes? What do you want, Garfield? No, I'm painting right now. I'm painting. You can't come up. You notice. Dude, if I'm not even monetized, like, can I just put music in my videos and nobody gives a shit? I kinda just want to leave on whatever the fuck I'm listening to. I'm playing Space Wolves, I should really be playing like some Amon Amarth or some Korpiklani or... Oh, something Vikingy. Man, I remember first batch of Space Wolves I painted, the Fenrisian Grey was going on so splotchy. If I remember right, I basically wound up dry brushing the entire thing with Fenrisian Grey just to try and get it more like wet dry brushing, just to try and get it more consistent. Man, it's been a minute since I've painted, like a year and a bit since I painted this. 2 years. Fuck me. It's seriously been 2 years since I painted that one. So the last one I painted is that one that's it's over on the Facebook page. My Jarl. I painted him for a contest. I'm pretty pleased with how he turned out. I see some things now I could go back and maybe fix up, like it's not worth it to do. I don't know, it's rare that I'd like to go back and repaint a model just because I like to keep them as a visual record of how I progressed over the years, you know? Learn from my past work. See the flaws and the shortcomings, and how I can do better next time. And sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Not every piece is going to be a masterwork. What are you whining about? What you whining for? Now you want out? Now my little bud wants out. You were trying to get in 5 minutes ago. There he goes. Now he's gonna be trying to get back in 5 minutes later. It's 25 minutes in. Count that, mark that. What's the backstory behind this guy? He's just a space wolf my friend loaned me. He don't got a backstory, he's just a dude. And I mentioned earlier, my reference image is a more modern version of his model that I painted. In fact, my reference image, I didn't actually put that one together. I got him from a garage sale, dirt cheap. Which, yeah, if you're getting into the hobby and you don't want to pay full buck for these models, garage sales and Kijiji, kids. Garage sales and Kijiji. Oh man, that's the other thing. I thought I got rid of that mold line on the leg. But the pewter, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't... You can see the light catching it there, you can see the shadow. Thought I ground that down, but it's still... still there. And we're just gonna go over it with the Fenrisian Gray, probably two thin layers. 2 thin coats, as Duncan would say. You can see what I mean right there in those. See a little black spot in the corner. That bubbled earlier and I missed it. And now it's dried in like that with the texture of the paint. There's no way to fix that. Except for like re-wetting the brush. And I'm not about to do that because it's gonna mess up the paint job. So we'll see if we can't paint around it. It's therapeutic to base coat and layer things, but it's my least favorite part of the process. Actually, you know what? We're gonna paint that other shin guard black. I don't know, I'm gonna paint something on it. Yeah, you may notice I'm using sort of irregular-ish brush strokes to get into some of these places. Don't do that. Fucking, I put that paint on way too chunky. There's a piece of fucking cat hair. Yeah, if you ever do that, if you ever put paint on too chunky, you can very quickly clean off your brush and while it's wet, go over the surface again to sort of thin it and wipe it off a little bit. need to stop the thing where I go in multiple directions. You always want to paint in the same direction. My dumbass always paints in like 3 different directions. Like I would have picked out an older reference image from like the 5th edition codex, but I lost my copy of it. I'll probably do an image search on it, but I never actually had the codex for Space Wolves back in 3rd edition. There's a couple of these surfaces I think I'm gonna go over again in black. I've seen a lot of the technically called liquid tight flex for armored cables you see on these models, and really it's supposed to be black because the outside of it is fucking rubberized. One who booping me. It's my buddy Tim. Managed to get his hands on a copy of the OG No More Heroes, which is a particularly fun, ridiculous game. As long as you keep in mind that the whole business is completely tongue-in-cheek, and do not take it seriously. Brush too wet. It's a lot easier to see when your brush is too wet if you have a big bright light. I don't know how I feel about this band. I've been listening to some music recommendations that have been popping up on my feed. The last one, Melt, is pretty good, but this one is Alcest. No idea how I feel about this. Stretch out my neck. I'm sitting way worse than I should be. Oh, my neck's been bugging me for the last week. That's a bit better. Okay. Now good and base coated. Just about say so. Really just the boots. Okay. And now we're going to go over all the metal flex. I missed part of his bow. We can touch that up in a minute. It's going to be the back of the knee joints. I'm going to try and use the wash sparingly on this one. Man, I remember making a fucking mess of doing these back in the day, and I'm watching another guy do his process, and I'm like, what? Why is he so clean and I'm not? I was trying to figure out how to crank guys out faster, right? It turned out the answer was just practice. You will get faster as you understand how to use your brush better. And what sort of process works for you. And also to stop fretting over every little mistake. I'm gonna go over the radiator grill in black. Just cause. I haven't decided if I'm gonna. Do I want to go heavy metal or do I want to try panel lining on this one? You know what? He said I can paint them however I want. I think I'm gonna do panel lining. I'm gonna try out that. So what panel lining is instead of relying on your washes to accent your edges, you would go over them with black or highlights around the edges, but not on the edges. You know what I mean? For the recessed areas to sort of emphasize that yes, there is a shadow here. I'll touch that up later. Gold we're going to undercoat with red. Or we can clean up a little bit. And for those of you going, why are you going to undercoat the gold with red? You'll see. An idea that I kind of had. Actually, you could probably do brown. I don't want to try red. You know what? Yeah, we're going to do brown. Okay, that was kind of all the black that we need. Fucking wire keeps getting caught on shit. I don't want a pair of wireless headphones, but I'm honestly considering it. I'm brown. The colors that are on my palette already were from yesterday. I was painting an old model that I started. Yeah, I put the work in progress up. You can take a closer look, I guess. We had a new model for Illuminator Sarah's. Ah, shit, I forgot I was still painting that bit. Yeah, he's a Necron model. I don't play Necrons, but new model dropped. Goddamn, it was pretty great. He's a Necron biologist who understands how living things work, and he turns people into Jello to sort of figure that out. Post some photos of that when it's done. Okay, so we use my brown. Golds we're gonna go over with the lighter brown. I'm gonna use a darker brown for the furs. Probably keep that on camera. I need to keep glancing over at my camera because I'm still never quite sure. It's because I don't have a fixed camera mount. I gotta take the whole business down when the stream's over. Oh, it's been 15. Wow, it's been 15 minutes. Jesus fucking, my cat's not back. How about that? I guess he has found somewhere else to nap. I love him, but he's been real fussy for the last week. Yeah, I have no idea how the hell I feel about this band. Not bad, it's just I don't know if I'm really in the mood for that. Excuse me. No, we're not really in a rush tonight. Just realized I passed all this time basically not really done much other than slap the base coat on. Messed up. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. The skull, I'm just gonna do them like a regular ass skull color. Actually, no, that'll be gold. That'll be gold too, why not? Oh, that's gotta be gold too. I always do the little thingy that's holding the wolf tail on is gold. Yeah, the hell with it. I'll do the lighter parts brown. Why not? I have the extra brown, I might as well. Use that black before it starts drying in, forming a skin. As you can see on my reference model, I also painted his shin guard black. But I never actually put anything on it, because I forgot. Never actually did anything of note with that Terminator on the tabletop, so that's probably why I never really gave him any accolades. I like to give my guys little distinction markings whenever they accomplish things. That one I was talking about earlier, my most decorated character. Named him Tormod, the sure-footed, because he does not waver. And I gave him accolades for monster hunting, stupid acts of bravery, and going toe-to-toe in single combat with a guy he had no business fighting, and not dying. Oh, we're gonna do the silvers real quick. So we're just gonna do a quick touch across these radiator vents. We don't need anything too crazy. I just want it light. Well, this is the exhaust for the fucking heating unit, right? It might be a little dirty. I don't actually even know if I'm gonna clean up half of the scuffs, just make them look a little more battle damaged. I don't know. I've only really ever painted battle damage on one model. And I did that by cutting into the bastard. Actually, you know what? That skull's also going to be regular as skull colored, so we're going to go over you in brown too. I'm going to go over all the teeth and bone in brown too. I've decided that I like this band, they're just not what I'm in the mood for right now. Also, I didn't realize this until now, but they're saying it in French. I don't have the best grasp on that language. Just touching up little spots that I think need touched up. Nah, I'm gonna touch those up. I like my paint jobs to be clean. Okay. I just need a. You know what? What the fuck are you caught on now? Dude, these headphones are driving me insane. Like, actually getting caught on everything. It's one of those nights. Oh, that was a short album. Okay.